So our topic for today is how can we mitigate climate change? But first, what we need to know is what is climate change? Climate change is characterized by the alteration of common weather patterns. So it means it takes a long time to determine or rather understand what are these changes. And with those changes being said, what we must first need to know is what are the causes and effects for us to have proper solution in mitigating the climate change.
First major cause of climate change comes from the anthropogenic activities. So what does these anthropogenic activities mean? Anthropogenic processes are processes that comes from human activities, which is undeniably true. These processes includes burning of fossil fuels as a means of electricity, which causes too much emission of carbon dioxide. And aside from that, the fuels used in the cars which causes pollution and release greenhouse gases as well. And in an article made by Robert Rapier in June 2020, the 84% of global energy or electricity comes from fossil fuel. And with that being said, we benefit from this fossil fuel, but the thing is, our world is suffering from it. Aside from burning fossil fuels, another anthropogenic process that triggers climate change is deforestation and housing relocations. Human occupation all over the world reduces numerous number of trees and forests, which in turn there are lesser workers in reducing carbon dioxide and turning it to an oxygen. Because as we all know, trees and plants are the major frontliner in absorbing carbon dioxide and turning it to oxygen. And according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, between 2015 and 2020, the rate of deforestation was estimated at 10 million hectares per year, down from 16 million hectares per year in the 1990s. And they said that the total area of primary forests worldwide has decreased by over 80 million hectares since 1990. And due to these anthropogenic processes, the carbon gases continuously increase all over the world's atmosphere. And because of that, the heat emission coming from the sun is being trapped in the Earth's surface, which is the so-called greenhouse effect. And due to the greenhouse effect, the world is facing too much heat, which is the so-called global warming. And these two things causes melting of ice, extreme weather events such as drought, and increase of the usage in water and electricity from livelihood. Global warming causes a lot of effects in Arctic regions of the world, for the ice and glaciers are slowly melting, which in turn causes higher sea level, which result in greater floods and a lot of rain, specifically in the lowland areas. Another thing is the extreme weather condition, such as drought. A drought happens when rainfall is less than normal for a period of weeks to years. Stream flows decline, and water levels in lakes and reservoirs fall, and the depth to water in wells increases. If dry weather persists and water supply problems develop, the dry period can become a drought, which in turn affects the agricultural sector, which is the main resource of food production and stocks. Last but definitely not the least, on the global warming effects, the increased use of water and energy. Because when it is too hot, the people tend to bath more and consume water more. And aside from that, They used more electricity with air conditioning and electric fans, which end up in more burning of fossil fuels for electricity and releasing of more carbon gases.
So, as we can see, every effect from climate change results in continuous bad effect as well. And there's a saying that we can change what already happened, but it doesn't say that change is only for worse. So what we need to strive for is the change for the betterment. And what I mean with the betterment is on how we can mitigate these factors, right?
I will start with the use conservation. Conservation is the care and protection of the resources so that they can persist for future generations. In short, conservation produces sustainability. With that being said, first thing we must do is to conserve water, because water is the number one weapon we need in fighting against climate change, for water plays a significant role in every living thing. When we conserve water properly, there will be enough supply to the agricultural sector, to their plants and crops and animals that they are taking care of, which is the primary source of our food and supplies. So it's very important that every person in this world to conserve water for us to attain sustainability. And upon conserving water, we must also take note of protecting our forests, for trees and plants has a very important job in turning carbon dioxide, which is the number one source or cause of climate change, into oxygen, which humans need in order to live. Lastly, conserving energy and uses of fuels and gases, because as we said earlier, burning fossil fuel is one of the greatest causes of carbon emission. So in providing more sustainable way in lessening the use of electricity and those gases, we will be able to create a more sustainable world. These sustainable ways that I'm referring to is the e-jeepneys, which are environment-friendly vehicles that causes lesser pollution and utilizing solar energy, hydropower energy, and the wind energy, which are more sustainable.